Picture this. You're settling into your first-class seat, tired from a long day in court, when a flight attendant approaches you with a look of disgust. "Excuse me," she says loudly, "I need to see your boarding pass. I don't think you belong in this section." This happened to Judge Marianne Thompson just last month. And what happened next changed everything for that airline. Judge Marianne Thompson had just wrapped up a grueling 3-day federal case in Chicago. At 52 years old, she'd spent the last 15 years on the federal bench, earning respect from colleagues across the country. But right now, all she wanted was to get home to Seattle, kick off her shoes, and see her family. She'd splurged on a first-class ticket. After the week she'd had, she deserved it. As Marianne settled into seat 2A, she pulled out her book and let out a long breath. The plane was still boarding, and she watched passengers file past, offering polite smiles to those who caught her eye. That's when Flight Attendant Jessica Miller approached her. "Ma'am, I need to see your boarding pass." Jessica's voice was sharp, her arms crossed. Marianne looked up, confused. "I'm sorry, is there a problem?" "I just need to verify you're in the right seat. First class, you know." Jessica's tone made it clear what she was implying. Other passengers were starting to stare. Marianne felt her face grow warm, but she kept her composure. She'd faced this kind of treatment before. Being a black woman in America meant navigating these moments with grace, even when every fiber of your being wanted to scream. "Of course." Marianne calmly pulled out her boarding pass and handed it over. Jessica barely glanced at it. And how exactly did you afford a first-class ticket?" The question hung in the air like poison. A white businessman across the aisle looked down at his phone, uncomfortable. No one said anything. Marianne's voice remained steady. "I purchased it, just like everyone else here. I'm going to need to verify this with the gate agent." Jessica's voice grew louder, drawing even more attention. "We've had issues with people trying to sneak into first class. I assure you, I'm in the correct seat," Marianne said, her patience wearing thin. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to move to economy until we sort this out. You're holding up the boarding process." That's when something inside Marianne shifted. She'd spent her entire career fighting for justice, presiding over cases of discrimination, standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. And here she was, being humiliated in front of dozens of people based on nothing but the color of her skin. "I'm not moving," Marianne said quietly but firmly. Jessica's face reddened. "Excuse me? Ma'am, if you don't comply, I'll have to call security and have you removed from this flight." The entire first-class cabin was watching now. Some passengers looked sympathetic, others looked away. But no one spoke up. Marianne reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. "You're absolutely right. We should call someone." She dialed a number and put the phone to her ear. Jessica stood there, arms still crossed, confident she'd won this battle. "Hello, this is Judge Marianne Thompson. I need to speak with Robert Chen, please." She paused. "Yes, I'll hold." Jessica's expression flickered with uncertainty for just a moment. "Robert? Hi, it's Marianne. I'm so sorry to bother you, but I'm currently sitting on Flight 2847 from Chicago to Seattle, and I'm having a rather significant problem." Jessica's confidence was starting to crack. "Ma'am, who are you calling?" Marianne held up one finger, asking her to wait. "Yes, Robert. Your flight attendant, Jessica Miller, has accused me of stealing a first-class seat and is threatening to have me removed from the aircraft based on, well, let's be honest about what this is based on." The color drained from Jessica's face. "Robert Chun is the CEO of Pacific Airways," Marianne explained calmly to Jessica. "We went to law school together. He's actually been asking me to join his board of directors, but I haven't had time." Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Around them, passengers were pulling out their phones, some recording, others texting. The businessman across the aisle was shaking his head in disbelief. "Robert, I'm going to put you on speaker," Marianne said. "Judge Thompson, I'm horrified," Robert's voice filled the cabin. "Please accept my deepest apologies." I'm grounding that flight immediately until I can speak with the crew. Robert, that's not necessary. There are over 200 people on this plane who need to get home. Then I'm flying out there myself. This is unacceptable. Within minutes, the pilot emerged from the cockpit. Jessica was escorted off the plane, crying. The lead flight attendant personally apologized to Marianne and the entire first-class cabin, but something beautiful happened next. The white businessman across the aisle finally spoke up. Ma'am, I want to apologize too. I saw what was happening, and I said nothing. That makes me complicit. I'm sorry. Others joined in. One by one, passengers apologized for their silence. A woman 2 rows back started crying, saying she'd experienced similar treatment and knew exactly how it felt to be invisible. The flight took off an hour late. Robert Chun had insisted on personally reviewing all crew training procedures before departure. Jessica Miller was terminated, not just for her actions, but for violating the airline's core values. But the story doesn't end there. Marianne could have been angry. She could have demanded more, could have made Jessica's life even more difficult. Instead, she asked Robert for one thing: mandatory bias training for all Pacific Airways employees, created in partnership with civil rights organizations. Humiliating Jessica won't change the system, Marianne told him. But education might prevent the next Jessica from making the same mistake. Today, Pacific Airways has one of the most comprehensive anti-discrimination training programs in the airline industry. They've partnered with community organizations, and yes, Judge Thompson did eventually join their board, and Jessica, after completing an intensive program on racial bias and spending 6 months volunteering at a civil rights organization, she wrote Marianne a letter. A real letter, handwritten, taking full accountability for her actions and the pain she caused. Marianne wrote back, because that's who she is. The most powerful thing about Judge Thompson's story isn't that she had connections. It's that she used her power not for revenge, but for change. She turned a moment of humiliation into an opportunity for education. She chose healing over hatred. We all have power, even when we feel powerless. The question is, how will we use it? If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more inspiring tales. And tell me in the comments, have you ever witnessed discrimination and wished you'd spoken up? What would you do differently now? See you in the next story.